Have you ever wondered how those massive 18-wheelers that roam America's highways are actually made? They haul our food, fuel, furniture, practically everything we depend on, across thousands of miles. But behind every semi-truck is a meticulously engineered process that turns raw house on wheels. Today, we're taking you inside one of the world's most advanced truck manufacturing facilities, where man and machine work side by side to build the most powerful, reliable, and long-lasting vehicles on the road. From massive steel frames to high-tech computerized control systems, from robotic welders to human craftsmanship, you'll see it all. So buckle up. This is how a semi-truck is born. The first step in building a semi-truck is crafting its backbone, the frame. This isn't your average car chassis. We're talking about heavy-duty steel beams that are engineered to support up to 80,000 pounds of cargo and withstand the punishing conditions of long-haul trucking. At the factory, massive steel rails arrive in pre-cut lengths, ready to be shaped, drilled, and assembled. High-precision machines drill holes and cut slots where axles, engines, fuel tanks, and wiring will later be mounted. Every single opening has to be perfectly aligned. Even a few millimeters off can cause huge issues down the line. Next, these rails are joined together with cross members, forming a rigid ladder-like structure. These cross members aren't just supports, they help prevent the truck from twisting or flexing under extreme weight. Welders, both robotic and human, fuse everything together with precision and strength. Once complete, the frame is coated with rust-resistant paint and sent off for inspection. If it passes, and most do on the first try, it becomes the foundation for everything else that follows. Now that the frame is ready, it's time to install the beast, the engine. This isn't your average car engine. Semi-trucks run on massive diesel power plants that can weigh over 2,500 pounds and produce up to 600 horsepower with 2,000 pound-feet of torque. In most cases, the engine isn't actually built at the same facility as the truck. Instead, it arrives as a fully assembled unit from a specialized engine plant, companies like Cummins, Detroit Diesel, or Packer's own engine division. Using heavy-duty cranes, the engine is carefully lowered onto the frame and bolted into place. Next comes the transmission, a complex system that lets drivers control all that raw power. These aren't automatic transmissions like in passenger cars. They're typically 13 or 18-speed manual systems, sometimes with computer-assisted shifting. Everything must be aligned within a fraction of an inch. Otherwise, the drivetrain won't work efficiently and fuel economy drops fast. Once installed, the engine and transmission are tested as a unit. Fuel lines are connected, wiring is routed, and diagnostic computers check for any faults. If everything checks out, the truck's heart is officially beating. With the engine and drivetrain in place, the truck is ready for its most recognizable feature, the cab. This is where the driver lives. Quite literally. Modern semi-truck cabs are like mini apartments. Depending on the model, they can include a bed, a fridge, a microwave, and even a TV. But before the comforts go in, the cab itself has to be assembled. At most factories, the cab is made separately, sometimes even at a different facility. The shell is built from stamped aluminum or composite panels, chosen for their strength and light weight. Robots and human workers team up to weld, rivet, and seal all the parts together. The cab is then painted, typically in a high-tech paint booth, where it gets a rust-resistant base coat, several color layers, and a clear protective top coat. Once dried, the cab gets its interior installed. This includes the dashboard, a maze of electronics, wiring harnesses, and sensors. Seats are mounted, insulation is added for sound and heat, and finally, the comfort features go in: bedding, shelves, climate control systems. Once complete, the finished cab is lifted by crane and lowered onto the frame. It's bolted into place, and technicians connect the cab's electronics to the main wiring system. At this point, the truck is really starting to look like a truck. A semi-truck isn't going anywhere without its axles and wheels, literally. The axles are the heavy-duty steel shafts that connect the wheels and carry the truck's massive weight. On a typical semi, you'll find two rear axles for drive power and one front axle for steering. These are pre-assembled with brakes, differentials, and suspension components. Technicians lift the axles into position beneath the frame, using cranes and jigs for precise alignment. They're then bolted, welded, and connected to the suspension system, which may use airbags, leaf springs, or a combination of both. Next come the wheels and tires. Semi-truck wheels are made from high-strength aluminum or steel and can weigh over 50 pounds each. The tires are monsters in their own right, 22.5 inches in diameter, capable of handling 6,000 to 10,000 pounds each. Designed for hundreds of thousands of miles, technicians use hydraulic lifts and power tools to mount and balance each wheel-tire combo. Finally, the wheels are torqued to factory specs, ensuring safety at high speeds and under heavy loads. Now we've got a truck that can roll, but it still can't stop without proper brakes and controls. If the frame is the skeleton and the engine is the heart, then the electrical and air systems are the nerves and arteries. Let's start with the electrical system. Wiring harnesses are installed throughout the frame. These are bundles of insulated wires that carry signals and power from the cab to every major component. They connect to the headlights and tail lights, dashboard controls, the engine management system, and safety features like ABS and collision sensors. Technicians carefully route these wires through plastic conduits and secure them with clips, avoiding heat and vibration zones. Next up is the air system, which is just as critical. Semi-trucks don't use hydraulic brakes. They rely on air brakes powered by onboard compressors. Compressed air is routed through steel and rubber hoses to each axle, controlling the brakes and suspension. The system also powers the air horn, suspension leveling, and the emergency brake system, which activates automatically if pressure drops. All connections are tested for leaks, voltage drop, and continuity. Without these systems, the truck can't think or breathe, much less drive. Now it's time to build the brain of the truck, the cab. This is where man meets machine. The cab isn't just a place to sit. It's a mini apartment, an office, and a cockpit all rolled into one. First, the cab shell, made from aluminum or composite panels, is assembled separately. Robotic arms weld or rivet the structural frame, while technicians install doors and windows, insulation layers for sound and temperature, the dashboard with all its controls and screens, HVAC systems, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Now the interior is customized depending on the model. Some cabs have a basic seat and wheel, others have refrigerators, bunk beds, TV mounts, even microwave ovens. Once assembled, the cab is lowered onto the chassis using cranes. Here comes the magic moment. Technicians connect electrical plugs, air lines, control linkages, marrying the cab to the rest of the truck. Everything is tested. Lights, wipers, gauges, AC, radio, horn, all must work flawlessly. Because when you're hauling 80,000 pounds across the country, you want a cockpit that's more jet than jalopy. You can't just build a beast like this and let it loose. It has to earn its stripes. Once the truck is fully assembled, it enters a rigorous quality control phase. At this stage, trained inspectors go over the entire vehicle. They check for neats, loose bolts or fasteners, alignment of wheels and frame, leaks in air, fuel or hydraulic systems, fault codes in the onboard computer. Then comes the rolling test bench. Think of it as a treadmill for trucks. The truck is strapped down and driven in place while machines simulate real-world conditions like hills, heavy loads, sudden stops. Meanwhile, sensors monitor how the engine, brakes, and transmission respond. Next, it hits the test track. Yes, an actual track, With bumps, curves, slopes, and water, they listen for strange noises, watch for unexpected behavior, measure handling and stopping distances. If the truck passes all this, it's finally approved for shipping. Think of it like boot camp. Only the toughest trucks survive. And there you have it, the birth of a semi-truck, from bare metal to beast of the road. Each bolt, each weld, each test, it all comes down to one mission: to move the world 1 mile at a time. Whether hauling freight across states or carrying the weight of industries, this machine doesn't just drive, it delivers. So the next time you pass one on the highway, remember, behind that roaring engine is a symphony of engineering, grit, and precision. This isn't just a vehicle, it's a rolling monument to human ambition. If you enjoyed diving into the making of a semi-truck, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more behind-the-scenes journeys, and drop a comment telling us what you want to see next.